Good afternoon. I'm sorry I'm a few minutes late, but today we're going to look at the phrase principles before personalities. And my name is Father Mike Deckwitz, the director of the Addiction Recovery Ministry. As I said, we're going to be speaking about those crazy slogans we see in all the 12-step recovery rooms. So today, as we look at principles of personalities, let me share some of my thoughts. That saying, principles before personalities, seems so simple. It seems so logical. It seems so easy to understand. And why is it so difficult to implement into our lives? And why is it so much part of the recovery culture? I don't know about you, but I do know that when I was drinking, I would become an expert on absolutely everything. Not just an expert, but an obnoxious expert. Really, not being able to even listen to anybody else's opinions, thoughts, or beliefs. This bravado was used to cover up my own sense of not being good enough, or smart enough, or handsome enough. It covered my feelings of not belonging, not fitting in. And I believe everyone who struggles with addiction struggles with that feeling of not fitting in. I'll tell you a story that my sponsor told me a long time ago. Bill D. He said he remembers as a little boy walking past the school. And he looked in the basement of the school, and there in the basement of the school were the Boy Scouts. And the Boy Scouts were working on a project. And he sat outside the window looking in at the Boy Scouts. And there he realized how much he didn't fit in. He often said that he viewed his life as an alcoholic as that little boy looking in at the other kids playing and not fitting in. That being the case, when someone who is struggling with a substance abuse disorder and comes to a 12-step meeting and is working on the road to recovery, they're still the same person who struggles with belonging, who doesn't feel as if they fit in. This can be a lifelong struggle. So, that when you start going to meetings, you will come across some very difficult, bombastic personalities. And if you're like me, group conscience meetings were hell. I hate them because I find in these meetings that egos are left loose to devour the serenity of the group. As such, I find it very easy to dismiss an insight offered by someone I felt who was trying to control, corrupt, or manipulate the meeting. Often, I've allowed personalities to drown out the principles being advocated. One of the hardest lessons I continue to struggle with is to do as my sponsor told me in the very beginning. Just sit down, listen, and shut up. To place my personal feelings on the back burner. To just be quiet. To be still. To try to listen to the personalities, to the principles, to the ideas and beliefs of the other person, without judging that person. Because really, what makes me think that I am that important? That my opinion about another is of any value whatsoever. Perhaps if I listen, I will learn something. Allowing myself to not put personality before principles. If I allow myself to put personalities before principles, I rob myself. I rob myself of the opportunity of growth, knowledge, of empathy, and compassion. My final thought is that idea of principles before personalities. I think that whole concept is really needed in our current culture. We seem to have lost a basic respect for each other. We seem not to respect the dignity of every person. Perhaps as a culture, we can learn to put principles before personalities. Thank you for being here. Next week, we're going to look at that phrase that says, easy does it. Let's together conclude by saying the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. The courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thank you. God bless. See you next week.